Hello and welcome back. Today we will be having a look at Markup, the 6th challenge on HackTheBox, where we will be making use of an XML External Entity attack, which is the type of attack against an application that parses XML input. This will enable us to retrieve sensitive data from the server and possibly get into the target. As usual, this video is only for educational purposes and is not meant to encourage any illegal activities. I have prepared the usual Nmap scan with default scripts, service enumeration, and minimal rate scan on all ports. Its output scan shows us that the target host is a Windows machine which has SSH open on port 22. It also has Apache running on port 80 and 443. Let's head over to the portal, and as we can see here, we can answer the first question since we already know the version. To answer the second question, we need to get hold of the username and password. So let's open up the web page for this challenge. This greets us with a login form. I will try the credentials, admin and password here, and it seems like we are now in. It is very important to use best practices for passwords as it can be easy to guess such credentials. Moving on, I will head back to the portal and answer the question at hand. We can note here that it is expecting the username and the password separated by a colon. Next up, we need to identify the page that accepts user input on the web page we have loaded up on our end. As noted here, there are two pages that accept user input, but since the answer ends with an R, we can just go ahead and type in order. To answer the next question, we need the XML version. Let's get Burp Suite loaded up on this machine now so we can get a better insight on what is going on. This setup will be fast forwarded since we have done this before. I will link the other video here, so if you're setting it up and require help, you can follow that one for now. Once we have it up and running, we can go to the proxy, then the HTTP history tab. Now we just need to submit some information into the form on the web page so that Burp Suite captures it. And whilst I'm filling in the form, if you're finding this helpful, maybe you can hit subscribe and give the thumbs up button a quick poke. Be advised that you will be hacking YouTube with these actions, ethically of course. Back to Burp Suite, now we can see more requests here. Let's grab the latest post request, and inside the request we can see various details. One of them is the XML version, which we are after. I will be sending this to Repeater since we will use this to perform an attack later on. On task 5, we now have a clear idea of what the attack will be. An XXE or XEE. I have loaded it up on the browser and did some research about this, as I was not very familiar with such an attack. The OWASP.org site has great information about this, so I highly suggest that you will have a look at this. Link in the description down below. The answer for the question at hand is XML External Entity, so I will just copy it from here. Now we are asked about the username that can be found in the code, so let's just have a look at the page again. Just right click on the page and then select View Page Source. On the 8th line here we can notice that this big boy Daniel has made some changes and added a comment that he proudly did these particular changes. We can use this name as an answer, which is now confirmed to be correct. The next question is referring to a particular folder, which means that we will require to establish some sort of connection to the target host. Since we know that it is running SSH and we are possibly able to leverage XXE, let's see if this is possible. I will look up further information on the Hacktricks website, as this will most likely have more detailed information for such an attack. As we can see here, as usual, Hacktricks does not disappoint. We can see here the code we require to leverage this particular vulnerability, so I will be preparing our request here by copying in the code provided by Hacktricks and editing it accordingly. It is important to use // here, not backslashes, as it will not work for you and you will get an invalid URI in the response like I have experienced here. Also, be sure to include the element so it will print out the result on the screen as well. I will include it here in the item parameter. Finally, we have an output, and we can confirm that the server is vulnerable to this particular exploit. Looking back at the Nmap scan results performed earlier, we can see that it has SSH running. So let's try to use the same process we performed earlier and see if there are any keys under Daniel's profile. Let's do a quick Google search to have the exact location to where the SSH keys are likely to be. I will copy this part and change it to match our setup. Again, change the // and give it a quick run. And here we go. We got the moves, guys. We got the key. Let's go ahead and copy the key over. I will create a file on my desktop and paste the key inside it. We will also change its permission so that it works straight away. And now I'll try to connect, and this was a bit of a downer here, as for a minute I thought that the key didn't work. The first thing that got to mind was to check the file again, as you can see here, and the first part of the line is actually not part of the key, so yeah, typical copy and paste. Let's remove it and quickly write and quit from V here and try to SSH in again. And this time, as you can see here, we are now connected as Daniel. I will probe around Daniel's desktop here, as generally in HackTheBox challenges, that's where the user's key is saved. And yep, this challenge is no different. Let's use type to print it out on our terminal. Back to the question we have on the portal, and we need to locate the log management folder and check its contents. I started off by going to the root folder on C:, and here we have the folder we are after. Let's change the directory to it, and we can use the dir command to list its content. As we can see here, we have job.bat, which is an answer to the current question, so let's go ahead and complete it accordingly. The next question is about an executable that is mentioned in the bat file, so yeah, let's have a look at it by using the type command to show its contents on our screen. Here we can see that it's running Wevtutil.exe, an administrator command line utility used primarily to register your event provider on the computer. Looking further down, there is written that this needs to be run as an administrator. Very interesting, as this could easily be a way for us to escalate our privileges. For now, let's go ahead and copy the answer over and also answer the next question, since we managed to retrieve the user flag earlier. Now we must retrieve the flag for root. Let's use Icacls here on the jobs.bat, ideally without any typos. It seems like our user has full access due to the line shown here, which is perfect. As we can see here, we have two program file folders, which means that this is a 64-bit operating system. I will head over to Google to download Netcat 64, then download it onto the target host. In order to do this, I will set up a Python web server here in the downloads folder. I will also retrieve the ton0 IP address details, then use wget to download it on the target host. Wget only runs in PowerShell, so I will just type PowerShell here so that our session is moved to it. Then here I moved to the correct directory and downloaded the file. Now that we have managed to get the file on the target host, I will edit the job.bat to run Netcat and connect to our listener. I will not immediately run this command since I haven't started the Netcat listener yet. I will just stop the Python server here since we have moved the file already to the target host, and we can use it to start Netcat here. With that done, I ran the command and it failed. We need to run this in command prompt, not in PowerShell, so I'm just going to hit exit quickly, and then with this done, I wanted to display out the contents of the file to confirm that it was edited properly. But it seems like it got overridden again by the time I got to the file. I was a little bit weirded out by this, but when I checked the listener, I could see that a reverse shell was established, and as we can confirm here, I am now administrator. So let's go to the administrator's desktop now to retrieve the root flag, and then we can type it out to our terminal. Now that we have the final piece of the puzzle, we can just copy and paste it into the portal, and that's it for this one. Seems like you have watched till the very end today. Maybe you should drop us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on future content. Thank you for following along, and as always, stay curious, keep learning.